Most of the traders who took the installment program and the special offer we had made back their money. Most of them did. And they still have 6 weeks more to trade for free with us live. So I'm going to show you some of the trades we took last week, and then I'm going to go through trades we're going to take next week. So you may want to watch this to the very end. If you remember, for the last 3 weeks, I started all my sessions with the Aussie dollar. The reason is because it's in a big consolidation. And I keep explaining to you how consolidations change. But structurally, there is no change to what is going to happen in the bigger pattern. So the bigger pattern is still downside. We've been saying that when this was forming, that this is going to be downside, this is going to be downside, this is going to be downside, this is going to be downside. And if you know that, what you do is every time it comes to the top here, you look for a sell setup. I showed you the trades we took when this was dropping, when this was dropping, when this was dropping. Well, now we took trades here when that is dropping. Some of us managed to take a trade in this piece. We took that trade, we took this trade. Some traders took the trade, including me, but closed it before it dropped. I did that because it was Friday afternoon and I didn't want to be in trades anymore and I was going to be off my computer. So I closed the trade for break even. Some traders took a tiny loss on it, closed it, and then it dropped, which means if you were trading the late New York session, you should go right back into that trade, right? Because there were sell setups here. There was a nice little flag there to rejoin the trade. We took the trade much earlier in here and then we closed it because it wasn't going anywhere. As you can see, for hours, it wasn't going. And that's Friday afternoon. And some of our traders are living in Australia and New Zealand, so they don't necessarily have to be in that trade in the New York session. That is a trade. We also sold trades in the New Zealand dollar. I think you can see some of the trades, this trade, this trade, this trade. The Australian traders got it because that was early morning Australian session. We got this one. And again, we closed it here. Some of that we missed. We got the pound trades. You can see the setups. Some traders got this one. Some traders got this. Most of them would probably get this one. This is one we didn't close because that one was expected to go. The euro was the same thing with the sell setups. Most traders got this. Some traders took some trades in there and some in this one. And on the opposite sides for the other trades. So basically, but the ones that we got more from are all the yen pairs. And I'll probably go and show you those as well as we go along in the webinar. But those were the trades. So if you were trading even a $1,000 account and you were with us for 1 week or 2 weeks, you should be with us for 2 weeks now. If you took the special offer I give, pay for 1 month, get 2 months. So they paid $100 to have 2 live sessions a day for 2 months. That's the equivalent of how much? 10 sessions a week, 8 weeks. 80 sessions. That's how much they're going to get for the $100. I'm pretty sure they made that $100 already. We asked in the poll Friday, and a lot of traders, not all the traders were there, but those who were there, the majority of them did. 1 or 2 were at break even still. They still have 6 weeks to do that. So here's what we're going to do for you if you still want to join us in these live sessions. You can join us in the New York session and the London session. Trade with us live. You can actually see us take those trades. So next week, if you join us and you watch all the trades for next week, you will be able to leave your comment whether, hey, yeah, this is actually real. I was there and I took the trades. And I'm hoping those traders who actually were with us can leave their comment. Right? So did they make it? Did they get back their $100 or not? So here's the deal. If you join now, we're not going to give you 2 months, but we're going to give you to the end of the promotion. The promotion ends in June, end of June. So those who took at the start of May got 2 months, May and June. You're going to get 6 weeks. You still have a chance to have an extra 2 weeks. What that means, you pay us for 1 month in the installment program, which means your intention is you would like to be a member of our group. There are people who have paid more than 100. Some people have paid 500. Some people have paid 600. Some people have paid out, the entire sum because they want to be in the group immediately. If you pay the full sum, you get in the group immediately. Or you pay it in installment until you reach the sum. Once you reach that, you don't have to pay a single cent for the rest of your life. And you have lifetime access. It's complimentary. I should mention it's complimentary lifetime access, which means you don't get to break the rules of the group. And that's the only thing. Follow the rules and you're pretty much on with us to trade. The rules are simple. Don't insult anyone inside the group. Pretty much that. And don't steal anything from the group and share it anywhere else. Those are the two basic rules, nothing else more. So let's go. If you would like to be a member of our group, you can join. If you would like to, it's the best trading group in the world. There's no second to it. I'll challenge many people to that. Because we have 5-6 live trading sessions a day in our trading room. When I leave, before I come in the trading room, our traders are there trading. When I leave the trading room, our traders are there trading. And I am in the room at least 3 times a day, sometimes 4 times if there are news in between. Sometimes 5 times if we have news in between in the New York and the London session, and if we have news after the New York session. That's how much I am in the room, right? So it's one of the best, as one of my traders put it, if you would like to trade with really successful traders, elite traders, you may want to join the group. Because you don't only get to trade with me live, you get to trade with them live. Those are the opportunities you have. Make your mind up. I challenge anyone to find another group like this anywhere that does so much real life trading sessions. No, they will give you webinars, they will give you forecasts, they will give you some signals, they will give you all kinds of crap, but none of that adds up to, here is a trade, and let me come back and tell you what we're doing with that trade. Where we are closing it, why we're closing it, where we're going to re-enter the trade, why we're re-entering the trade. All of that. So with that, let's start. I'm going to go through all the pairs. Dollar index. Dollar index, I told you last week, it's going to stay in this consolidation. We're coming back to the top. We're at the top of the consolidation. Now you will look at this 2 ways. I want to show you the bigger picture. We're going to look at this 2 ways. Here's a 4-hour. This is still a sideways consolidation. The depth of this pullback tells me the probability of this coming back here is really, really high. So if I have to make a forecast as to what are the chances of this, I'll give it probably 85%. Why not absolutely sure? Well, there are times when you have a flat like this at the bottom here that we think are making a bigger flat, and instead this one works its way up all the way to the top here and then drop, right? Because now we would be in this bigger correction. Do I think that is what the dollar index is doing right now? No. I'll give you my forecast of what I think has a higher probability. The higher probability is they'll come and break this low. And then there's a very good chance you could go back up. Right? That's what we think it's going to do. That's the forecast. What does the forecast do? It gives you an idea of what to look for. So if I get a sell setup with that forecast in mind, we will absolutely take it. If I don't have a sell setup, we're pretty much still going up. So if it makes a flag here, we will buy. If it makes a correction, we'll buy. If we get something like this week, and it's starting to make something like that, we will buy. If it reverses, give us a flag, we'll be in that trade way back to the bottom. I told you the same thing. I want you to take a snapshot of this pattern here and look at the Aussie. Remember what I said about the Aussie. If this goes and break that top, we start the selling. Some of us sold that from almost the very top. So once you break these tops, you're looking for sell setups. Now, can Aussie go down all the way to the bottom from here? It is possible, but the way I'm looking at this pattern, it looks like it's incomplete. So to me, there's a high probability that Aussie could stop anywhere here and go right back up to the top. So if Aussie is going to go back up there, the chances are dollar index is going to drop. If Aussie is going to continue to go, we will keep selling it. We just need a flag and we're in the trade. There's no question asked. If it keeps going, we'll keep selling. And we know where the bigger picture is for Aussie going. Aussie is coming back to this low. So if Aussie is going to keep dropping and that is all the consolidation you get, then we are coming to this one and dollar index is going back to this stop, going back to retest this stop. So it's either we get this move continue to go now, or they make a new low and then come back up, which means Aussie, on the other hand, comes back to the top here, corrects back to the top, and then drop. And that is quite possible. If you look at the way here, if you look at this piece when it was going up, there were a lot of very deep pullback. They went up, deep pullback, they went up, deep pullback. This one actually broke out. So something else is going on here. And that possibility is, well, we are totally dropping, or we literally go back to the top. See? Now, if I have to give you a forecast for Monday, I would say wait for a flag and sell. That's the easiest thing for me to tell you. Wait for this to make a correction or a flag and sell. And comes Monday morning, Aussie does something like this, make a flag here, right? I put an entry here, and we are buying this all the way back to the top. And you're still waiting for me for the forecast that I made for you to sell it. And you're like, okay, he got it wrong. Because definitely he said you should be selling Aussie if it makes a flag. But instead of making a flag, Aussie took off to the upside. And we missed all that trade because we listened to this guy. So that's the thing about wave analysis. If you're trading a day trade, if you were trading long term, you would be in Aussie sell for like the last 4 months. And you'd be absolutely right about it. If you're trading short term, which means your trade has to be in and out within a couple hours, this is what you do. You do what we did here. You go into 15 minutes, you get the flag, you sell. You get the flag, you sell. You get the flag, you sell. This one take too long to go, you get out of it. It makes another flag, you sell. Here was another running flat, perfect running flat. If I was trading at that moment, we'll have an entry over here. But at that moment, I was already off the chart. I've already closed this trade that we took there and closed this trade that we took here, and I was off the chart. Though twice we sold this and it wasn't going, and it was like, okay, get out of it and wait. I was already not trading for the day. That's the end of my day. So this makes a correction here, we sell. Now you've got to be really careful with this sell, because there's a very, very high probability that this sell could just drop about 20 pips and start going up really fast. Because two things can happen. It can either make a deeper correction and keep dropping. This is the impulse. You make a much deeper correction and drop. Or it literally reverse. Either way, we will be in the trade. And that's the thing about live trading. These update of the chart is 5-6 times a day. So you get to see what is happening. Now, if there's going to be a change in structure, it will take about 3 or 4 hours for it to turn, make an impulse, make a consolidation that you can trade. So that would be about 4 hours. And every 4 hours, we are in the chart making updates. So we can see if there's a change, and we can say, okay, let's wait for this to happen, and then we take the trade. See? So my forecast too, Aussie's going down. Wait for a correction, sell. But if it starts to go up, the question is, can you see the difference and said, okay, no, we should be buying now. Dollar index, let's go. Silver. Nothing new. I think immediately look at my charts and you can tell what we're doing. This one should come here, break that top, and then drop. Now, silver, we were expecting it to drop somewhere here, and then we said, be careful. It could go back up because this could be the running flat, right? This could be still in the correction. Well, now we are out of that correction. This is all the correction. That was the top. This is the reversal. So where is silver going? Well, look at the bigger picture of things. There's a very high probability silver could be coming down back to this level. The last time we had a flat like that and we broke the top, we reversed back here. So if silver is going to come down here, then there's a very, very high probability dollar index goes up. What if silver makes a correction like this? Can dollar index make one more drop and then go back up? That is also possible. I expect silver to correct. Even if it is going to come here, there will be a correction here that we can wait for and then sell. Can silver retest the top and then come? It's possible, but very unlikely. If silver is going to go up, it will be more as a correction. I don't think we're going to go retest that top again, because we test the top here, make a flag, drop. So a correction here is all I would expect, and then downside. So on silver, I will expect mostly that, they'll probably stay in this range here, correct for a while, and then we drop again. So let's see. Gold, still in the consolidation. So this gold is still more or less consolidating. It's not dropping. Gold did break the very top on some charts. On some charts, it didn't. But the majority of the charts, we broke the all-time top. So is it trying to make a bigger move down, or are we still going to make another one up? Well, gold right now is not dropping as such. It's kind of going sideways, but not dropping. We told you this was going to drop, and that happened. It kind of didn't go very far. I can see them consolidating here. There's a good chance you might consolidate some more and drop, but I don't expect it to go very far if it's still moving like this. You can still take the trade. You just have to manage the trade if it doesn't go. That means get out for break even. Euro would likely go much deeper. I don't think euro is going up back from this point. So if you remember when we were here, we were saying, this didn't look very well for all the correction, although it fits the criteria of a 1, 2, 3, but time-wise it's short. So there's a good chance that euro comes back here, make a flat, and then go, right? Do I think euro is going to go much lower than that? No, I don't think so. I think this is a very nice impulse. This one has a nice flat here. And that is why I think this was too small to be that flat for upside, because this one is a much more well-structured flat correction. So there's a good chance that euro is going to come back here, maybe even make a correction first, then come, then, something like this, drop to the bottom here, and then give us that next move. If it is going to come back to retest the low, then no problem. We just keep selling. Every correction, every flag we get will sell. But you have to be aware that these patterns exist. And if it is going to make that pattern and you have the knowledge of that, where and when and how it should turn, then that's great. That gives an advantage. Now, if you remember, I probably showed the thing, when you start to see all those flats there, the chances are they're going to come down. So euro, more downside, I think, next week. How far more we'll have to see. Some kind of a correction is going to happen before it goes. So you would wait for this to make a correction, and then you go for the sell. Pound also, I think we're going to get a move down, a pretty serious move down here back to this one, because pound I'm looking for, we were looking, if you remember, go back to my charts, we were looking for pound to stay in this range and make a flat like this. I was expecting a flat that would look more like this, because I think I might have mentioned it in one of my webinars, mostly I talk about it in my trading room, that this cannot be all the correction, it's too sharp. And if that's the case, then you're always expecting one. But then this one kept going. So we're like, okay, let's see. If that's not all the correction and something else is happening, let's wait. And if you wait, there's a good chance that, well, you will see what it is. So there's a high probability this comes back now. It should be an equivalent of this one. Not much more, maybe a little more, a little less. Pretty much this is what I'm expecting that to happen. And then we would look at this as a running flat. This would be what we will call a running flat. So there's a high probability now that we look at it this way. This is an impulse. This is the correction. This is an impulse. This is the full correction, and then you take off. So there's still more to go if that is going to happen. Now, if it is going to turn here and go back up, no problem. We'll change that and we'll go with this to the upside. But this is one sharp move, so it is unlikely that this alone will start going up. I think we were looking for this as a running flat by itself, but it dropped a lot more. So I don't think we'll look at that pattern anymore, right? We're looking at whether this was the running flat, whether we had the running flat wrong, and we were looking at this as maybe it's a bigger running flat like this. It's still possible. It's not, it could be even an expanding flat. It's still possible, but less likely, put it that way. It's still possible, but less likely. We'll see which one it gives us. Any turn to the upside, we will be buying as if this is the bigger flat and total upside, which means you will wait for that setup that shows you that, you know what, this is what it's doing right now. I just believe we're going to make a correction here and drop. So wait for any flag, wait for any correction, sell. And at some point, you're going to get some deeper correction as you go down, because this didn't come down in a sharp wave. See how many corrective structures you had in there? We're likely going to get a lot of correction in this coming down. So coming next week, there may be a lot of corrections, which means you can trade them both ways under 15 minutes. Aussie, same. I told you already, it's likely going to make a deep pullback if they're going to go. It could also go back all the way to the top. New Zealand, pretty much the same thing. Well, New Zealand was pretty easy. Once we came this deep, I think New Zealand, we were looking for this to make a flat like this, come back here and then go back there. But it went all the way there. So the question is, can we look at it as an expanding flat? Can we take this to be an expanding flat? That is possible. You can make 1, 2, 3 an expanding flat. That's a pattern that exists. But we'll see. It looks pretty tough to go with that right now, because although it's a pattern that exists, we know we have some bigger expanding flats than that. I think we can also go with a contracting flat here. So we're leaving both options open until it shows us exactly what it's doing. So if that is an expanding flat, New Zealand comes here, it's going to go right back up, because that would complete 1, 2, 3. and we go right back up, something like this, before it drops. This will still drop. This is still a consolidation going on. If that is not it, and this is a running flat in here, let's assume this is the running flat, and this is 1, 2, 3. Then all it will do is make a correction and drop. Right? So very likely Monday next week, you start getting correction upwards and then drop. So you're not going to have the big drop. If you see a flag here, go for the sell. Just be careful, because when they move that much, they tend to correct. When you move that much, here's a good example. When you move this much, even if you're going to continue to go, you will tend to see that correction there. So there is a movement in the price, but then that stops, corrects, and then continue to drop. So some kind of a correction is expected. That doesn't mean you don't trade. It means you trade with caution. Yen, the yen is becoming much easier for all of us. It dropped, it started, we sold that, dropped again, pulled back. Well, now we're waiting to see what yen is going to do at this point. At this point, I think we're looking at some kind of a flat here, with this being an expanding flat in the middle, something like that, and come back to the bottom here. So if there's anything, I think yen could complete this move. You see this big correction in here? 1, 2, 3. Well, consider this the big correction here. And then we drop here, after which this should go back up. So this one is almost like a 90% of happening. Can it go a little higher? Yeah, they can go. Are we still in this one? I think the question you should ask, is it still correcting for upside? And this is where a lot of traders get it wrong. I literally showed once when I was watching a video where, the traders thought that's the trend line and this is bouncing and this will go back up. And the trend line is irrelevant. You would hear some traders tell you, if you're trading trend line, you're doing it wrong and you're going to get it wrong. And that's true, because trend line is not a strategy to trade. There is no guarantee that they're going to bounce off any specific area in any trend line that you put. But it gives you guidance as to if you're breaking out of the previous structure you were in, or you're still going back into that structure, right? And then you look for the setups to trade. So this trend line is only guiding me as to whether this up move is finished. And every time I see a consolidation here, I tend to think, well, it's finished, it's going to drop. So all I need now is this thing to turn, give me an impulse and a flag, and we're selling that back to the bottom. Now, in any trade you take, and I mean any trade you take, there is a chance that trade is not going to go the way you expect it to go. I don't care what strategy you're using. Flip a coin and sell. There's a chance it's not going to go. There's a chance it's going to go. When you're using what we call a wave analysis, you're trying to get an edge in the market. You're trying to say, well, I've seen this pattern before, and this pattern tends to behave this way with an 80% chance. So you have an 80% edge. It's not a 50-50 like flipping a coin. Flipping a coin is a 50-50 chance, right? Using wave analysis gives you 80-20. So you have a better chance of this going your way, because if you study all the patterns, you would find that 80%, 90% of them tend to behave the same way. Not every time they behave the same way, but there's an 80% chance. So flipping a coin give you 50, using wave analysis give you about an 80% chance. I think it's better to use wave analysis. And then if you add to that, waiting for the confirmation for that trade to prove it's actually doing what you want it to do, you've just increased your chance to about 90% and more. So you're not only waiting, it's like when you flip a coin, you're not waiting for any setups, right? You just flip the coin and you said sell or buy, right? There is no strategy that goes with that. Nothing else, because it's not based, flipping a coin is not based on the structure, or a support and resistance is not based on the structure. It's just that this is the support, that's it. It's like flipping a coin. You either buy or sell. You either believe that the support is going to hold or the resistance is going to stop it, and you sell, or you buy, right? You either believe that or you don't believe it, because there is no structure you're looking at for that, right? There's no other thing to go with. When we do wave analysis, we are saying here is a pattern. Let that pattern prove it is what we think it is. So we wait for structural change to see that, is that pattern really a flat? Is it trying to really go down? Now give us the confirmation, we take the trade. And we have specific confirmation we're waiting for. See? So you're having an edge, even over the edge you already had about the trading. And that's the amazing thing about trading using wave analysis. So although I think this is the flat for downside, I would have to wait for it to come here and make a flag before I decide I'm selling. If I get a correction here, I'm buying. I get another correction here, I'm buying. I get another correction here, I'm buying. By the time it gets there, guess what's happened? I will wait for this to come back here and then upside. That's what the pattern is going to be, because this small pattern here just changed into this bigger pattern here. And that would be upside. So here's an example. When this was here, we sold that. See, we sold that. We sold this. And then it stopped and it started to go back. So at this point, we're thinking, okay, that's a correction to drop. We were waiting for this to break out to sell. It never broke out. As a matter of fact, it did this. And then it did this. And we're like, you know what? If you want to buy that, you could buy it. But I'm not buying that because this has to come back here. We broke the top. Has to come back here and then go. You see, I have those two arrows there. Those arrows were before it happened. Because once you break this top, we expect this to come back here and then go back up. So you can either get a sell here, but you must get that buy. So that creates this running flat. And what we are saying here is exactly the same thing. Right now, we're at this piece here. And we're saying this has a better chance of dropping because it's a much more structured flat of dropping to the bottom here. And this would be our trade. 1, 2, or 3 trades we'll get by the time it gets there. Or we're wrong about it. And this one, since this range is much bigger than this range, makes a flag here. And guess what? We are buying this one to go back to this top. We didn't buy this one to go break that top because we had already broken the top. But this one, we're buying that. And then we will sell it back to the bottom and we'll buy it back to the top because we can see that pattern forming. As of now, from the top here, we're expecting this to drop. So we're looking for sell setups. Maybe it will tag the top a little, break the top a little in 5 minutes or 15 minutes. Maybe this would make a little flag here, go break that top. I'm not trading the little flag. I'm waiting for a better correction if I'm going to buy. And then we will look for the downside. Now, will we get the downside? That's irrelevant. Again, if you understand the way we trade, whether it comes or not is irrelevant. If it comes, we trade. If it doesn't come, we restructure. We look at the pattern and say, is it really making that big running flat? Do we have a buy setup? Well, then we'll take it. And that's why you need to be in the live trading room with us, because you get to see us do that live. CAD. I think this speaks for itself. And since we're doing 1, 2, 3, there's a chance it's going to go a little more, but then we have to come and break this low, right? Most likely before they go up. So let's go through this again, what we did. If you follow my forecast, you would know that when this was here, 1 second, guys. If you follow my forecast, you would know that when we were at the bottom here, I said we were going to make 1, 2, 3. So we'll expect it to go back there, break that up and come down, break this low and then go back up. Well, it didn't break the low. So we said maybe that's a contracting flat if this was going so aggressive, because that was a sharp move up. What you want is a consolidation to confirm that to the upside. Instead, they dropped to the bottom again. And immediately you realize, well, wait a second. This is not going up. We might most likely make something here. And if you make a flat in here, then you're likely going to drop and break the low. Maybe then you go up. So for now, what I would expect is that we come here, tag that, come back here, and then go. That's most likely what I would expect to happen. Right? So we will see what happens with that. And let's go. Maybe a buy here, look for the sell here, and then we're going to be buying that. Let's go. What is Swiss doing? Well, Swiss, I think we're just correcting and we're going to drop. So pretty much this is just correcting here. It might even go a little higher, but then they'll drop, break this low. And when we break that low, that's when we will break the daily structure. And from there, anything is possible, right? This is the bigger structure. This is a huge structure. So when we break this low, and it will likely break that low, it could totally go back up, or it could continue to drop, 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 and break this low, and then totally go back up. This low is not a must. That is only if we think we're going to get a running flat in the future, right? This low is like the absolute low previously, so there's no need, not the absolute, the bigger flat low. So there's no need to break it. But we will see if they break it, because if you break that low, then we will put this as the bigger flat. If you don't break the low, we will go this as an expanding flat. So there's no need for that, but it might get all the way to that one. Let's see. Keep your eyes open for this, and then we'll see what happens. So those are the structures and those are the patterns we're looking at and the trades we're looking for. Most of them do not have a trade set up right now. But those trade setups could happen within an hour or two. after the opening, maybe 2-3 hours after the opening, it creates the flag already, and then we will be having a sell setup for it. Right? All of these are trade setups. If you see a mark on that thing, that means we were looking at it for a trade at some stage. The red means we were looking for a sell. We probably had a sell. This magenta color means we're looking for a buy. Green means we're looking for a buy. Most of them, like this one, means we're waiting for a setup. The rest of them that doesn't have anything means we don't have anything in them at the moment. Right? So they keep going on and coming off. I'm not going to go through all of them. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a few crypto for you guys. We also trade cryptos. We also trade stocks. Everything you see here, we trade. All these are stocks that my traders trade, people who join us in the trading room. But we don't do this in every session because then it will be a 3-hour webinars every time. And we don't have 3 hours every time to do webinar. We're trading. So if a trader sees something really nice in one of this, you said, hey, maybe you want to pay attention to this one. This one has a really good setup. And then we'll all go and look at it. And you said, you know what? That's nice. We like that setup. Maybe we can trade. Here's a nice one that one of our traders keeps reminding us about. That's the Aussie gold. If I can go and find the Aussie gold Aussie. Let's see if I can find it here. It has a really beautiful setup, and it's something you can trade. And that will be bonus for you guys. Let me see if I can find it. Gold Aussie. Come on, it has to be somewhere here. XAU XPD. XAU AUD. See? So this one had a real nice setup here for a trade. You're looking at this correction. And let's go there. This trade is not valid. This trade has to see there's an arrow there. It has to go up there first. So the trade setup would be let it come back here. And if it comes here, then you put an entry order here for the trade, right? So even if you take that trade, you close that trade. By our rule, you're already out of that trade. But that didn't happen. So when that doesn't happen, you wait for it to go back up, right? So now that it went back all the way to the top, you repeat the same thing. You take this off. Let's take that off just for now. And I'll show you the trade setup. It's even a better trade setup now because we're in this structure. See, we're just making bigger corrections. This is the move on the 1 hour. That's a sharp impulse. This is a really sharp impulse. And you're doing this. So if this is the drop, you're going to get a sharp move to the downside. And that's the trade we want. If this continues to go up like this, you just ignore it, even if it gets all the way to the top. We're not trying to buy into this. We're trying to get a big move to the downside if we can get it. Because in the bigger picture of things, it should drop. This is where you are. You're at an extreme high point. See? You're at an extreme high point. And when they get there, they'd make big moves to the downside. So this one didn't drop that, go back, you ignore that trade. See, that's one we were expecting to break. Would this repeat the same thing? Well, then let it go. We're not looking for the sell. The buy. We're waiting for the sell. So from the top here now, all you need, now that it is a new top, all you need is for it to drop. You need a flag here, and then we start selling. That would be the trade. And that goes for all of these. All of these has some kind of a trade setup in it that our traders are looking at. So I'm going to show you guys Bitcoin and 2 more cryptos, and we'll close the webinar at that point. But if you want to do all of that and more, join us. So I think this speaks for itself what we're looking at, a big consolidation. If you followed me last week, I said, watch this come here. It might go back up there, come back here, go back there, come back here, go back there, right? So the same thing happened. This one made a flag. Okay, drop one more. It still has to go back there, come back here, go back there, come back here, and then go. We're in a big correction here. I don't think we're dropping to the low as yet, right? I don't think this thing is trying to go make a new low right now because it's pulling back a lot. When it made all the pullback, then we will see. Is it dropping? So this looks like a buy setup to me. It looks like there's a good opportunity for this to make a spike like this and then come back down. Let's see if we get that. Ethereum, pretty much the same thing. We're coming down nicely, but at some point you'll get a correction. So they dropped, and then I think this is trying to make some kind of a small one here and drop, small one and drop. At some point, this could go back up because we're open to two possibilities here. I think you already mentioned we're opening to running flat in this range, this being a running flat, or we're still in this. We haven't broken out of this as yet. So if that buy makes sense because it could go and break the top, right? There's a good chance that this here, You take it and that make a spike above the top. Most likely, I think it's going to do this and drop. Right? So if you're buying it, all you have to do is when it get to that level, get it to break even. If you're a long-term trader in it, you really don't have a traders yet. The long-term traders wait for it to come lower before you buy. XRP, same kind of structure, same thing, right? And XRP is coming down. If you go back and you watch my live session when XRP was at the top here, I think all of you remember that story. 90% for it to drop here, and probably another 90% for it to drop here, and I'm still 90% sure this one is going to drop come a little more. Now, here's the thing. This could go up. If you look at it this way and you look at that as a pattern, this could go up from here. If you look at this as a 1, 2, 3, which is very likely, then we'll have to break this low before we go up. If it comes here, I'm buying. Now, I'm not just blindly buying it once it breaks the low, because it could collapse totally. I would be waiting for setups to buy. And if you want to see what kind of setups I'll be waiting for to buy this when it comes there, this is a nice opportunity for you to be with us when we do that. Right? So right now, I think this flat here looks more downside. Can it stay in this range for a while? Yeah, they can still do this for a while and then drop. But most time when they do that for a while, they drop. When they do that for a while, they drop. They do this for a while, they drop. They do this for a while, they drop. When it drops and it turns suddenly, then we'll expect it to go come and break this down. So I'll leave you with that. And like I said, any of the forecasts that I showed you in here by Monday morning could change. Right? That does not mean wave analysis doesn't work or what we are doing is absolutely wrong. That means that we have seen some of these patterns as it's a wave analysis. And by wave analysis, it goes up and come down, goes up and come down. Ask the guy who was making noise with me here when I said this will drop. Who said no, it will not drop? And he was like, why didn't you go all 90% or 100% and you think it's going to drop? Right? Because he was so sure it was not going to drop. See? And I was 90% sure it was going to drop. Now, how would you have traded that if you were in the trade? If you were looking for a sell? That's a whole different question. That's why you joined the trading room. So have a great weekend. Have a great week ahead of you. Trade with care. I will try to see if I can update more for you. And again, you still have the chance to join us. You will have 6 weeks for your $100. And if you decide to stay with us, that $100 goes towards paying for your course. So the 6 week you have would be absolutely free. And you will also continue to have access for free if you keep paying for the course. At any given time, you can pay out that sum for the course and be in the group, and you have access to every single thing, including the training program, the mentoring program, where we will do one-on-one with you, where you will go through all the classes, you will get practical sessions and all of that. Basically, you know the thing. If you're a trader, you know what I'm talking about, right? So we train you to trade. That's the whole point. We train you to be an independent trader. When you join the installment program, we are just holding your hands and guiding you from not making mistakes. So, and we're hoping that we're helping you, because so far it has been good. Ask the traders who joined, they'll tell you. So have a great week. I will see all of you. Thank you. Bye.